Good evening, everyone. I'm Lauren Saraceno. I'm the Director of Performing Arts, and I'm so excited to welcome you this evening to our Jazz Step Up concert. Let's hear it for the kids. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for spending your Tuesday with us. A couple of quick housekeeping items and some thank yous, and we'll go right into the music. First, if you have a cell phone or something else that might go ding, now is a great time to make sure it is on silent. Photos and videos are not only allowed, but encouraged. Please take as many as you like, share them with your friends and family who couldn't be here with us this evening, but do double check to make sure your flash is off. Emergency exits, here, and here, just in case. And some thank yous. First, I want to thank our friendly neighborhood firefighter, Angelo, who is here keeping us safe this evening. Let's hear from Angelo. I want to thank Mr. Jonah Ledoux, who is at the board and floating around. He's making sure we look and sound good this evening. Let's hear from Mr. Ledoux. Of course, our administrative team, central building-based, our school committee members who make all of this work so possible with all their support. The entire performing arts team is really part of what you see this evening. And of course, our POPS families as well. Thank you to all of the POPS volunteers who help support the work of these programs. If you're not involved in POPS, please check them out. They do so much for us. Two incredible staff members leading the show tonight. We have the fantastic Mr. Steve Scott, who will be leading our high school ensembles. Let's hear it from Mr. Scott. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the middle school band director with his friends, the Tuesday Jazz Band. This is Mr. Dave Adams.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause for our director, Ms. Saraceno. And this is the largest WMS Tuesday Jazz Band that I've ever had since I've started teaching here. So give that big round of applause. We got a lot of friends up here. And I'm so proud of them because we started this year off and some of them had never played jazz before, and especially in such a large setting, and now they sound worlds improved from when we started the year. So we have some really fun pieces for you tonight, and our first is a jazz funk rocker, and it's called Lowrider, and I bet the minute you hear that cowbell in the beginning, you're going to recognize the song. So this is Lowrider. And a special shout out to our drummer Thomas over here holding it down on the drums. Give him a shout out for that. And our next piece is a John Coltrane classic, and this is called Lazy Bird. And we have some soloists on this one. We're going to be improvising for you. We have Arav on clarinet, and we have Gabriel over here on the trumpet. So this one is called Lazy Bird, written by John Coltrane and arranged by Michael Story. Another round for our soloists, Arav, Gabriel, and we have the Ashton people over here on the drums singing their solo. Give them a round of applause as well. So our next song is also a switch of grooves, and this is kind of a calypso influenced song, which is really fun to play for the kids. And this one is called Toes in the Water, and it's written by Dean Sorensen. I actually want to make sure that I highlight our soloists on this one. Hold on, let me get my program here. Our soloists for this one. We have Mason Zhao on alto sax, Ella Chen on trumpet, Theo Wagner on alto sax, and Breston Wells on the trumpet. And this one, again, is called Toes in the Water. Thank you so much. We're going to do a quick changeover to the WMS Monday Jazz Band, so sit tight. Tuesday Jazzers, let's go off this way. And then Monday Jazzers, come on up this way, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, give us a round of applause for the WMS Monday Jazz Band! Many of you are probably already aware of the dedication that these students put into the Monday Jazz Band, but in case you don't, this band meets before school, Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, and it is early days for them. So that shows you how devoted they are to learning this style of music and just playing music in general. And it also shows us, devotion to the parents too. So thank you for your support, and I'm so proud of these students, and you're about to hear why, because they've made such a stride on these songs that we're about to play. The first one is this blues shuffle tune, and they did such a wonderful job with it. It's called Blues Machine. It's written by Mike Sweeney, and we have soloist Ethan Hunt on clarinet, Elliot Johans on flute, Craig Nelson on trombone, Jack Pay on tenor sax, Alex Goldberg on bari sax, we got Chase on the drums, and we have Caitlin Kiernan over on the alto sax as well. So this is the tune Blues Machine. Another round of applause for our soloists. So this next one is a jazz classic. It is a bossa nova tune, and it's called Blue Bossa, written by Kenny Durham, but there are many arrangements of this song out there in the world. One of my favorites is the Joe Henderson tenor sax player's arrangement of it. And this also features some soloists. We have Jack Pay on tenor, Ryan Licciati on trumpet, Caitlin Kiernan on alto sax, and Elliot Johans on flute. And this is Blue Bossa. applause for our soloists. Okay, and before we play our last song, I just want to mention how I love this concert because it gets me super excited for our 8th graders in this band, and knowing that they're going to be going to the high school and flourishing under the fantastic direction of Mr. Scott. I'm so excited for that. Give them a round of applause. I get chills when I see these students that are about to come up in the high school and perform, because I remember them back when they were super, even in 4th and 5th grade little. So it's awesome to see the growth, and it's such a great feeling to know they're under such great instruction at the high school. So, all right, with that, here's our this is kind of a rite of passage. I gotta play this song. This is called Birdland, and it's a classic school jazz band arrangement, which I love, they want to play it every day. They could play it all day if they could. And it's by pianist Joe Zalman. So this is Birdland. And we have so much more great music to come, so sit tight. We're going to invite the WHS 1 o'clock jazz combo coming up next. And my Monday Jazzers, we're going to go off this way, all right? Ladies
and gentlemen, won't you welcome to the stage the Wellesley High School 1 o'clock jazz club.
Thank you, and I'd like to echo some of Mr. Adams' sentiments about how much of a pleasure it is when we are working so early in the morning, 7:30 is when we get started, that if you're going to start your day at 7:30, this is the way to do it. What a pleasure to work with these students and just to be making this music every day. It just is truly a dream job. We're going to get things started also with a calypso tune. Maybe the weather today was inspiring us a bit. And so this is JoJo Calypso by Jim Nindell. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was JoJo Calypso by Jim Nindell. Our soloists were Aidan Gill, Hannah Grossman, Margot Smirnoff, and Tecumseh Sadavi. How about it for our wonderful soloists? Our next tune is by Jim Rotondi. It is Trail Dust. Thank you very much. Our soloists on that one, Aiden Gill, Hannah Grossman, Margot Smirnov, Tecumseh Sedativ, and Wyatt Jaffe. How about it for our soloists? Should be bringing my reading glasses on stage. We're getting to that age. Okay. Our next tune is a jazz standard by Kenny Barron called Revelation, which was released in 1960 on Yusef Lateef's album The Centaur and the Phoenix. This one is kind of a cool D minor blues, and it's going to feature a number of our soloists. Again, this is Revelation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our soloist on that one, Margot Smirnoff, Hannah Grossman, Aiden Guild, Tecumseh Sadadiv, Cole Delgado, Wyatt Jaffe, and Asen Pan. How about it for our wonderful soloist? Here's one I think you'll know. Here is one by Joe Zawinul, another one by Joe Zawinul, recorded in 1966 by the Cannonball Adderley Quartet. This is Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our soloists on that one, Hannah Grossman, Margot Smirnoff, Wyatt Jaffe, Aiden Guild, Cole Delgado, and Tecumseh Sadadi. How about it for our soloists? We want to say a special thank you to Cole Delgado for joining us and playing some piano with these wonderful students. How about it for Cole? And we're going to finish with a composition by another pianist, Harold Mayburn, called Edward Lee, which was dedicated and written in honor of the great trumpet player from the hard bop era, Lee Morgan. This is Edward Lee. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Our soloists on that one were Hannah Grossman, Margot Smirnoff, Aiden Guild, and Tecumseh Sadadi. How about it for our soloists? How about it one more time for the Wellesley High School 1 o'clock jazz combo? Thank Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around for just a moment, and the Wellesley High School 2 o'clock Jazz Band will be joining us in just a second. Thanks so much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. How about it for the Wellesley High School 2 o'clock Jazz Band? It's too hot for this, okay. So that was Second Line, a traditional tune from New Orleans. That was arranged by Victor Goines, an artist that we got to work with when we were at the essentially Ellington Finals in New York City, working with Wynton Marsalis in the past. And Victor Goines is one of the wonderful members of the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, just even to this day. And our soloists on that one were Colin Ross, Nate Cody, Liam Fitzpatrick, and Alex Barnett. How about it also from Cole Delgado on the melodica? How about it for the wonderful soloists? And if you're a fan of the Stephen Colbert Show and maybe have seen that melodica being played in the past, there it is in the flesh, being played beautifully by Cole on that one. Our next tune is Cold Duck Time by Eddie Harris. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Cold Duck Time. Our soloists on that one, Cole Delgado, Nate Cody, Wyatt Park, Carl Hartman, Nova Bacharni, Quinn Sauvé, and Liam Fitzpatrick. How about it for our soloists? This one was recorded in 1970 on an album of the same title as this song. This is Sugar by Stanley Turrentine. very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our soloists on Sugar were Alex Bonnet, Liam Fitzpatrick. We have fans, everybody. All right. Liam Fitzpatrick, Cole Leonardo, Noah Charney, Carl Hartman, and Nate Cody. How about it for our soloists? And they're available after the show for autographs. Moving to our next one, we are doing one that is quite a significant composition by John Coltrane. It was named after his first wife, Juanita Naima Grubbs, and Naima was first recorded in 1959 for an important album in jazz history called Giant Steps by John Coltrane. And this new arrangement moves it from the serene and beautiful and maybe even complex ballad that it was originally written as into an emotionally complex and soaring Latin composition. This is Naima. beautiful arrangement by Craig Skeffington. I wanted to note him because he's a local jazz musician who is a clinician that we've had in the past at the MAJE Festival, which our jazz combo took part in this year and did a wonderful job, earned a silver medal. How about it for our wonderful jazz combo? Our soloists on Naima were Alex Bonnet, Liam Fitzpatrick, and Cole Delgado. How about it for our soloists? Very quickly, I'd like to take a moment of thanks, first and foremost, to Dave Adams and the wonderful Wellesley Middle School Monday Jazz Band and Tuesday Jazz Band. How about it for these wonderful middle schools? Possibly be overstated the monumental work that's happening in the middle school, the incredible teaching and learning that's going on by these students, and Mr. Adams is why what you're hearing on stage is happening and is possible. The education that they're getting, the music they're playing, the sophisticated real jazz that they're making on stage is rare and should be acknowledged heartily, and we should all feel proud of it, to nurture it. So thanks to parents, thanks for supporting this, and good for you to these wonderful jazz musicians. How about it for these wonderful middle school students? Quick thanks to Lauren Saracino, our wonderful K-12 director, to Allison Madden, who made our programs that you're reading right now, to Jonah Ledoux, who made our lights and sound utterly beautiful tonight. Thanks to Jonah. How about a quick round of applause? To Dylan Johnson, to Tanya DuPont, and all of Pops. I want to thank all of our Pops parents for the support. I want to thank all of the band parents that are sitting here that have been lugging instruments around and getting kids to lessons and all the things that it takes to get a kid to be an instrumental musician. You are special people. Thank you, parents, and thank you to Pops. How about it one more time for Pops? And our final tune this evening is a tune called Big Dipper, which was written in 1969 by Thad Jones and recorded by the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Jazz Orchestra for the album Central Park North. This is Big Dipper. How about a quickly for those soloists? Cole Delgado, Liam Fitzpatrick, Nova Charney, Carl Hartman, Nate Cody, Alex Bonnet, Brendan Nicolazzo. How about it for our wonderful soloists? And let's make a special note of Gabe DuPont on drums on that one. Gabe DuPont. Step on the toes of students who are trying to do something nice here. So the saxophone section, they can sing really well. They're going to sing. Oh, okay, here we go.
All right, I guess I can do both. Oh, sorry.
I want to thank Mr. Adams again for being such a...
Awkward, man.
I know, right? I want to thank Mr. Adams for being such a wonderful teacher. I'm in 8th grade right now, and I'm very sad to graduate because I will miss him teaching me every morning from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and being like one of the best teachers ever for jazz, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Okay, now that I got my breath, I'm good. So, first, adding on, my whole jazz journey started with Mr. Adams right here. Tuesday Jazz Band. I remember, everything Chase said and much more, are not even enough words to express how much I appreciate your hard work and dedication to this program, and you really produced some great musicians coming into high school. So, one more round of applause for Mr. Adams real quick. And now, I'd like to give my thanks to Mr. Scott. This is bittersweet, it being my last concert here, my last jazz concert. But over these past 4 years, it's been one heck of a ride for sure. You know, we've had many great moments together, and all the way from Micah and Wind Ensemble, all the way to MAJE, working with the combo. Mr. Scott's always helping out, and he's always asking if we need anything. And that's just something that all of you kids should look for in a band teacher. And those are some great traits that you should try and have as well. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep it short, but I'd like to thank Mr. Scott for everything, for helping making this night possible, for a great year, giving us some great music, encouraging us all to work hard, even at 7:30 in the morning when half of us are asleep in our chairs. That's okay. So yeah, give it up for Mr. Scott.
Thank you all so much for sticking around. There's lots more to come in our spring concert repertoire, so please come, rejoin us in the back of your program. There's lots of wonderful concerts that you can come see, so please come back. Thank you and have a wonderful year.